Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
Good morning, bonjour, ni hao, or zhen sha ha, wan ying, bienvenue, and welcome to another episode of The Gem Hunter. My name is Barry Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. In each and every week, what I like to do is take you on a journey, on an adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. I do this because I believe that gemstones can serve as a visual and physical and spiritual and even an emotional bridge to help people begin to discover the value of their own stories. See, when you begin to know your own value, it's magical. People ask me in terms of my business, what does art, science, history, what's the magic? The magic is not only just the story of the gemstone, but the magic is what happens to you when you begin to understand how you were put together, how you were faceted. What is your clarity? What is your weight, not your body weight, but the weight of your presence? And even what is your color, externally and internally? When you begin to discover who you are, I imagine that it feels the same way the Spanish conquistadors when they came to South America for the first time. And despite that long 3-month arduous journey, when they got to South America, they had to deal with different climates, indigenous people, indigenous animals, climb high mountains. And at the end of their journey, they discovered gold everywhere. I imagine what it felt like when those Spanish explorers went to Central America and they saw jade, not jadeite, not nephrite jade that's found that they were familiar with from Asia, but jadeite jade. And I imagine that when the Chinese explorers went to Burma or Myanmar, now it was called Burma, now it's called Myanmar. When they discovered jadeite jade, I can imagine what they felt like, because they knew they had cherished jade, nephrite jade, which is a darker green jade, for thousands of years. And when they found jadeite, they were like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. That's what it feels like to begin to discover your own value. That you make the decision whether you're a ruby or a sapphire or an emerald. And you get a chance to change that each and every day. That's what it feels like. That's what this show is about, to get you to understand that the same principles and concepts that we apply to gemstones, I believe that you can begin to see in yourself. For the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about gem ID, gem identification, how to identify a gemstone. Not just as a gemologist or as an appraiser, how do you identify a gemstone, but also how do you identify the gemstones that you are and the gemstones of the people that are around you, your friends, your family, your loved ones. Last week, we began the conversation of the attributes of a gemstone. Remember, I told you that there's 5 attributes to qualify as a gemstone. We have beauty, we have rarity, we have durability, desirability, and of course, value. And we talked about rarity last week. And I think it needs to be said again, because when you begin, I don't think everyone understands what does rarity mean. And I think to be able to really understand rarity, you can just look at gemstones. So let's go back. We all are on the planet Earth. So there's rocks and minerals. There's rocks everywhere. We're standing on some aspect of a rock. Then of those millions of different varieties of chemicals that's in the earth, now we have 4,000 minerals. And what a mineral is, it's when it has a molecular structure. It's repeatable. So that means that those chemicals, that those elements had to come together in a certain sequence, in a certain pattern. Cubic form, hexagon, to dodecahedron, all these different patterns. That's what a mineral of. And then of those 4,000 minerals, now we're talking about 250 or so that myself, gemologists like myself, have to study and understand. And of those 250, maybe 50 are truly rare and special. And you have to understand, of those things that we call gemstones, gemstone quality. Think about of this whole field of elements, and just all those few qualities. Let's say a sapphire, aluminum oxide molecules had to come together in a certain pattern, in a certain way. And then if it's because it's a ruby, you just have trace amounts of chromium, just a hint of chromium that gives it that red color. In terms of sapphire, which comes in every color of the rainbow, it's trace amounts of iron and titanium in different percentages that give it all the different colors, blue, greens, yellows. Think about how rare, when you think about the whole earth, how rare that is, and is only found in certain places in the world. I live in Chicago, Illinois, and I guarantee I can't walk down Michigan Avenue and go, look, honey, here's a ruby. So in my mind, how is that any different than finding the one? Finding that one person that you want, that you desire in your life. How rare is that? I'm 60 years old, and I think I can speak from experience that finding the one is as hard and as difficult and as challenging as finding that diamond, that ruby, that emerald, that pearl. I read once that Mikimoto, the person who created cultured pearls, went through something like 2,000 oysters, 2,000 opening up just to see, and he was ready to give up. In fact, his wife just continued on the process, and she was the one that confirmed that he could actually create cultured pearls. How rare is that? Now what I want you to do is take a moment to think about the person that's in your life. Think about the person who's sitting across the table from you right now. In fact, Marty, my good friend and co-Diamond Factor host that comes on Monday, Marty is sitting across the table right to his beloved wife right now, Christy. Marty, go ahead and give Christy a kiss and a hug and look her in the eye and just say, do you know how rare you are? That you are my gemstone. And of course, Christy's going to say, oh, I know that. I knew that when you got me. That's what rarity is. If you have someone who loves you, who can deal with your snoring, that's rare. If you have someone in your life that understands how much you enjoy going shopping or shoes, that how much you understand hockey, how much you love it. If you have someone who understands who you are in your story, despite all the things that you've gone through in your life, that's rare. You understand what rarity is. How special it is to have that relationship with someone. And if you've been married for a long time, you understand. Every day, take a moment, just think about, oh my God, I am so blessed to have someone like you in my life. So when I talk about rarity, I don't want you to just think about gemstone. I want you to think about what rarity means in every aspect of your life. Not just your significant other, your husband, your wife, but rarity relates to your friendships, your relationships with people. I have people in my life who I know that God brought them to me, that they are truly just blessings. And I understand the concept of rarity because of them. When we talk about rarity, let me introduce you to today's gift, today's treasure on my wall. This, ladies and gentlemen, is called the Graph Venus. This is the largest heart-shaped gemstone in the world, 118 carats. The rough was 357 carats. So what this was cut from, 350 carats. Even though you guys are not gemologists, there are different types of gemstones, different types of diamonds. So this is considered a type 2A diamond, which means that it has absolutely no nitrogen in it. There's no yellowing. We talked about color. There's no yellowing. This diamond is perfect. It is flawless. It has no fluorescence. Not that fluorescence is a bad thing, but for some gemstones, the fluorescence might take away a little bit of the beauty. It was discovered in Lesotho, Africa, which is a little country that's surrounded by South Africa. It is the highest diamond mine in the world, 10,000 foot elevation. The average temperature in the summertime in this part of the world, in this mine, is minus 20 degrees Celsius, which now we're talking about 2 degrees, negative 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit. It snows where this diamond was found. This diamond was found in 2015. And think about it, diamond mining started in South Africa in 1867, somewhere between December and January, 1867 to 1868. That's when diamond mining started. So it took 155 years to discover this diamond, the Graph heart. So think about that in terms of how long it took for you to find the love of your life. Music and videos and movies would like us to think that love is just everywhere, that all you have to do is just reach your hand out or just walk down the street and you're going to find the one. No, that's not how it works. The one is something that you have to dig for. The one is something that is that person that you have to go through something for. In fact, what we're going to talk about today is durability. Durability is another attribute of what makes a gemstone a gemstone. The definition of durability in terms of gemology is the ability for a gemstone, the ability for a diamond in this case, to withstand the test of time. This diamond is at least 600 million years old. At least, bare minimum, at least 600 million years old. This diamond had to come from pressures of 70,000 pounds per square inch, 3,600 degrees temperature. It had to come up from basically like a volcano or kimberlite pipe. And it sat in the ground for millions of years. And then it took hundreds and thousands of years before this diamond was found. And this diamond was found in 2015. So all the things that it had to go through just to be created. And then when they found this 357 rough, they took them 18 months to decide, to analyze it, to map it out, to cut it, to polish it, to create what you see today. The Graph heart, the Graph Venus. Think about that in terms of your relationships. Durability. When people look for the relationship, you got to start to think about, is that person, you have to think, is that person going to be durable? See, a diamond durability means for a gemstone is the effects of what you see only comes after it's cut. It only comes after it's polished. When you're in a relationship, the true value of that relationship only comes after you've gone through some things together. Part of the reason why I said there's 5 different attributes of a gemstone. The reason why I didn't start out with beauty, because beauty is wonderful. And we'll talk about beauty next week. Because beauty gets you in trouble, especially for guys. Beauty gets you in trouble because when you see it, and as I talked about Gem ID, when you see something and it happens to be red, it doesn't mean that it's a ruby. It doesn't mean that it's a ruby. A ruby has a hardness of 9. There's a hardness scale, goes from 1 talc baby powder to a 10, which is a diamond. And when you look at the hardness scale in gemology, it doesn't just go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, the difference between 9 and 10 is exponentially different. A diamond is the hardest substance in the world, natural known substance in the world. Remember last week or a few weeks ago, we were talking about those 5 women who all Elizabeth Taylor. Let me see if I remember. Elizabeth Taylor, Halle Berry. We talked about J-Lo, Paris Hilton, and of course, my girl, Mariah Carey. Each one of those women have received millions of dollars of gemstones, of diamonds on their hand. And yet none of them but yet they've been, between the 5 of them, they've been in 18 different marriages, 10 engagements, durability. So, which means when Paris Hilton, I said my girl Mariah Carey, because Mariah Carey got a diamond that was worth $10 million. $10 million. Some man fell in love with her, gave her and presented her with a $10 million ring, which means that he gave her a gemstone with a hardness of 10. But the relationship didn't last a year. So he gave her a gemstone with the hardness of a 10, but the relationship was a 1. And you know what 1 is on the hardness scale? You know what has a 1 in terms of durability? Graphite. The lead in the pencil, which is the exact same chemical composition of this diamond, which is a 10. This is the 1, which means it can be erased. You write it down, it's there, and you can erase it. That's just what happened with those relationships. Durability. You have to look into, and durability can be looked in different ways. You can look at yourself. We have 560,000 people who are no longer with us. And those of us who have been fortunate enough to survive this global pandemic and continue to survive, that's durability. You've done the things that you had to do, thank God, to keep you alive. I am 60 years old, and I am so proud that I have gotten to this point in my life. Despite all the hardships, despite all the things I've gone through, I still stand and sit before all of you in front of the whole world. And here I am. Durability. Think about the things that you have gone through in your life, no matter how old you are. Those are the things, the pressures, the challenges that you've had to go through in your life to create the gemstone that you are today. And all gemstones have different levels of durability. Everyone, as I told you before, everyone always talks about, I want to be a diamond. In fact, that I told you, one of the first conversations I had with Barbara in regards to the name of her program, the Diamond Factor. Everyone talks about being a diamond, but in terms of durability, you may not want to be a diamond. Because even though a diamond has the hardness of a 10, which means and what that means is you can't scratch a diamond with anything lower than a 10. So only diamonds can scratch a diamond. But diamonds, because of their hardness, because of their molecular structure, they're brittle. If you hit this diamond in a certain place, this diamond will cleave. This diamond will break in half. Where if you take a gemstone like jade, now jade only has a hardness of 6 and 7, but yet jade is one of the toughest gemstones. If you hit jade, because of the molecular structure of jade is more like this, there's an interlacing of the molecular structure. So when you hit jade, it doesn't break. It doesn't cleave. So the question is, when you are with a person in your life, you have to, well, let's not even go to being with somebody. Let's talk about yourself. What type of gemstone are you? What type of durability do you have? Now, once you realize your story, you realize how rare you are, that there are 7.8 billion people on the planet and there's no one like you. So once you begin to understand how rare you are and really understand that on a deep and spiritual way, how rare you are, then the next step, the next question you have to ask yourself is, how durable are you? How durable is your business? How durable is your health? How durable is your dreams? Especially during a pandemic, especially going through whatever challenge you're going through in your life. Remember, I talk about As a Man Thinketh, that book that I told you changed my life. And there's a part in this book that says although here's a youth hard pressed by poverty and labor, confined long hours in an unhealthy workshop, unschooled, and lacking all the arts of refinement. But he dreams of better things. He thinks of intelligence, of refinement, of grace and beauty. He conceives of, mentally builds up an ideal condition of life. The vision of a wider liberty and a larger scope takes possession of him. Unrest urges him to action, and he utilizes all his spare time and means, small though they are, to the development of his latent powers and resources. Very soon, so altered has his mind become that the workshop can no longer hold him. It has become so out of harmony with his mentality that it falls out of his life as a garment is cast aside. And with the scope of opportunity which fit the scope of his expanding powers, he passes out of it forever. Durability. You have a homework assignment this week. I want you to take some time to start thinking about the value of the person that you love in your life. Think about, and if you're in a relationship, or you're married, and no matter where you are, think about all the things that you have gone through in your life together. If you're in a friendship, think about the durability of that friendship. When people say things like ride and die, to ride and die, you hear people say that all the time, and most people understand the ride part, but they don't understand the die part. They don't understand what that means to truly support that person that you call your friend. I always laugh when people say things like, In fact, Barbara said it just the other day. She said, iron sharpened iron, which comes from the part in the Bible, scripture in the Bible, Proverbs 27:17. And I'm going to stop for a second because there's thousands of people all over the world who are watching this show who are have now fainted because Barry Mixon have actually quoted something from the Bible. Yeah. And it says that 27:17 from Proverbs says that iron sharpens iron. And one man one man sharpens another. And that's only part of the story. When you think about it deeper, what you don't understand is iron doesn't really sharpen iron by itself, because iron, the element, very rarely is found by itself. Iron, when you mix it with something else, iron is the 5th most abundant element on the planet. But it's only when you an iron by itself has a hardness of 6. Oh, actually, iron has a hardness, when I really think about it, iron has a hardness of 4 or 5. Pearls have a hardness of 5 and 6. So iron, just natural elemental iron, is not even as hard as a pearl. But when you mix iron up with carbon, then iron becomes what we think about iron. That's when iron sharpens iron. So in your relationship with your friend, in your relationship with the person that you love, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, maybe your iron and she or he is that element that needs to mix with you to become the relationship that you want to be. Durability. It doesn't do it by itself. Your homework, I want you to start to think about, and if you're in a relationship, and maybe that relationship is not where you want that relationship to be, or it's changed, think back to when you and him or when you and her were together. Think about when you first saw her walking across that room, standing across that dinner table, standing in line at Jules, that supermarket, and you just said to yourself, oh my God, he or she is just spectacular. And now you got together and you created this relationship. Think about all the things that you've gone through to get to where you're at right now. See, when we talk about storytelling, as I said to you many times, the antagonist is the most important part of the story. Every gemstone has had to endure the antagonist. Millions of tons of rock, of ore on top of them. Heat, tremendous pressure had to come together. Then it had to be discovered. Then it had to be dug up. And then once it's dug up, it sometimes takes a year, 2 years to truly create the thing that you see today. Durability. So take that time to begin to think about what I've been trying to teach you in our shows, that those same elements that we highly prize, this gemstone sold for $19.3 million. So at the end of all of it, what it took, 155 years that it took to find this, millions of years that it took to create this. Today, I have the honor of presenting to you the Graph Venus. Think about what you have the honor of being in with your relationship. That's your homework. That is your assignment today. So next week, we will talk about beauty, and which is the next element, attribute of being considered a gemstone. We'll talk about where beauty fits into the whole overarching theme of discovering the value of your own story. I'll see you next week. Au revoir.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for Life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for Life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
I'm hanging on your every word. The love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound. 'Cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground.
Hey, how are we doing? Are you having fun yet? Mr. Barry Mixon talking about durability. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. You know, I was thinking, I don't know if you mentioned, because I'm in the background, so I'm the producer too, also the host, also, you know, the cheerleader, and the list goes on and on who I am on this show. And I don't know if he mentioned, because we have our talks. Barry and I have our talks when he comes up with the show and his ideas, and I tell him, I said, Barry, don't tell me everything. I want to be like everybody else on Wednesday. I want to be surprised at what you're going to talk about. If you start telling me, I'm going to be like, dang, I already know. This is like, saying, I have a surprise for you. By the way, this is the surprise. No. You don't do that. You don't do that. So, he was going to talk about durability, and he texted me last night, and he's like, you better be ready. I can't say the whole text, but basically he said it's going to be steamy today. What he's going to be talking about, and it was a steamy conversation about durability. Now, one thing that I was thinking of, and I told him this, is that maybe you can mention, as London lost a prince, and Prince Philip. So I've been watching, and I think I mentioned this a few days ago, I've been watching Netflix when I get time. It's like every time I just get a little time to just say, pause for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, I get a chance to look at some things. And I've been looking at the series The Crown, and I'm looking at season 1. There's 4 seasons, so I just got done with season 1 of how the queen became the queen at a very, very early age, and she got married before she became queen. And I remember the part in the series where her dad, who was the king at the time, told her fiance / then husband, Prince Philip, that he said, you need to be ready to make sure that the queen is always taken care of. So basically he told him, you just sign up for something and it's going to be a long haul. And it was a long haul, because after I looked at the historical part of it, not the whole thing, they was married for 74 years. 74, say it real slow, 74 years. if that's not durability, I don't know what is. I mean, and they had their issues. I mean, way at the beginning when they were 10 years in of marriage, there was some things like, okay, we got to sit here and figure this thing out because maybe I need to. And then, and she and the queen just basically said, she said, well, divorce is out of the picture. So, I mean, she was basically told her husband, she's like, we need to figure this out, and just let you know, one of the things we're not going to figure out is divorce. So, I mean, right there, he's like, well, okay, money. what are we going to do here? What are we going to do here? I mean, that long a time, 74 years. I mean, when I heard about that, I was like, oh my God. And I started thinking about my relationships. And I'm like, I can't say nothing. I mean, I have some long friend relationships, but nothing tops. Well, first of all, I'm not in this world for 74 years for one. But secondly, I had to look at, the years I've been here and how many relationships that I have that I can say, for instance, it's been 10, 20, 30 years. Now, I look back at that because it made me think. It made me say, how many friendships do I have that's longer than 10 years that we're still talking, that we still communicate, that we still get along? If we pick up the phone, we're going to be there for each other. And I had to count just 3 people. I thought 3 main people. And I had to say, Barry is one of the people. We've been on each other for almost, I think like 12 years now. So we went over the 10-year mark. Our relationship made it. I'm glad it did. I know he's like, whew, we got rid of those 10 years. So, you treasure this. I want to say this before we bring on the awesome queen, Diamond herself, Laura Armstrong. You have to just treasure them. See, that's the thing I have to say. The durability, okay, you can say in numbers how many people that you might have knew over 10 years or whatever. That's fine. You want to put a number on and say, yay, we've been, getting along. But treasure those because they don't come, a lot of them don't come in your life at one time. I mean, I can count on my hands the friends that I really have. I mean, like the true, that's going to be like, they're like Barry said, ride or die. They understand the ride. And they do also understand the die. So you don't have that many. And when you do get those, treasure them. So with that, we're going to go to Miss Laura. She's going to be talking about how, talking about durability. She's really going to get more into understanding so you can keep that durability by those personalities that you have and understanding how to work with others. So let's bring on the queen. Come on, queen.
Good morning, everybody. Laura Armstrong here. I am your leadership accelerator and communication expert. And as usual, I'm very excited to be here today. And I'm going to continue our talk on our coaching program. The module we're covering today is going to be artificial intelligence. Okay, so it's super exciting. So the last 3 that we did, which was personality intelligence, sales intelligence, and all of these relate to not just your business but your life as well, right? So I've always been fascinated by artificial intelligence. I just feel like the basic function of artificial intelligence content and identify, in my case, the bank codes that people have and validate the effectiveness of a message that I send for a particular bank code. So let me explain that. So basically, if I write an email to someone and triggering them with the words that they need to hear to get the message across, I'm not using it properly. So I use our artificial intelligence tool. So I will take that script, copy paste it into the artificial intelligence, and it will actually read what code that script is written in. It's a fascinating tool, and I use it all the time for everything. Okay, so our AI tool actually is the bank analyzes the empathy of a message and validates which personality type will be most receptive. Okay, to raise your score, you'll be able to expand and reach the application of this tool in personal life, so that you're certain that your messaging will have the maximum impact for all your current and future clients and personal relationships. So it's not just about business. So what that means is, like, anything written I send out, I run it through the AI to make sure that to where I want it to go. I find AI fascinating. I just feel like artificial intelligence is the new up and coming buzzword. And yet we've had this tool for so long with our Bank iOS coaching program that it's become an essential part of what I do, right? So I want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, but what I want to do is I really kind of want to talk about the benefits of it, right? So we talked about the trifecta, the first three, intelligence, sales intelligence, and emotional intelligence. Now, if I use the AI in each of those, so if I use the AI in personality intelligence, it would help me to identify personalities and practice speaking and writing in the right. Used it in sales intelligence, it will help me increase my sales velocity. And we talked about that in pod 2. So closing more sales in less time. Okay. And collapsing the length of the sales cycle, which is what we all want to do. You can also apply the sales intelligence to how you speak to people, okay, in relationships. And thirdly, how does it apply in emotional intelligence? So it will help you look through the lens of others, respect where they are, what they need, because really it's all about them. It's not about you, right? And the more you figure that out and the more you kind of integrate that into your life will become so much easier. So when you combine personality intelligence, sales intelligence, you have a triple play and a superpower. Okay. And when you're using it with the AI, you become unstoppable. And honestly, it will help you. So where will the most? Okay. So it's in those three. Okay. So those are the three that it applies to the most, but it does apply to every level of your training. So I want to give you some practical applications of using AI. And whatever I use the Bank AI tool, because like I said, I use it in everything I do. I make sure the message I go out is coded and written properly in the values that are important to the people that I'm sending the message to. So it's very, very targeted. Like nowadays, when we receive emails, they're not always targeted. For instance, I had one guy who sends me mortgage emails. Okay. And I ran it through the AI. It came up as almost completely knowledge-based, and he's probably unaware of this, and I let him know about it. But if I was writing his email, I would have made the email, because he's talking about mortgages, way more nurturing, right? Throw an offer in there. Let people know that I've got a process around how you can do it. Talk to me about the steps you need to get where you're going, years, right? So he's missing out on those other three demographics that he could be targeting. So he's literally giving 75% of his business to someone else. That's a lot of business. Okay. So think about it this. So when I looked at that email, I could have reworded that to include the other three codes, so that when that email went out, I would have gotten 100% response from people of all different codes. Okay. So again, we're going to go back to using the practical applications in business. So it gives you an online presence. So first of all, so you're going to use it to rewrite copy on your LinkedIn, your social media profiles, websites, landing. You can craft AI validated written and video content for podcasts and blog posts. We do have an AI scripter that we partner with Google Chrome, which is on the Google Chrome App Store for LinkedIn. I can go on anybody's profile on LinkedIn, have click a button on my profile. It says decode this person's personality code, and it will read the profile and give me the code that they've written their profile in. Now, the caveat to that is they're about us. Okay, so that's something that's super key. All right. Next, prospecting. So instead of sending canned messages and you're getting no response, and playing the number, target each personality type, okay, or specific bank code to get to decision makers faster, because you're pushing their buttons. You're talking to the values that are important to them. That's exactly what they want to hear. So not only do they for message, they feel like they're being heard, right? And that's super key, because remember, again, it's never about you, it's all about them. So what's in it for them? What's your with them on this? The third one is marketing. So coordinate 4 separate campaigns, type, and use the AI to double check it. I do this all the time. If I'm sending out to a bunch of people who want to come to, maybe one of my workshops that is very much self-growth focused, I will make sure that this is going to help you contribute to others. It's going to give you an opportunity to step into your power, make the changes that you're looking for to be a better person, blah, blah, blah. I'll go on and on about like that way. So it'll be very high nurturing, and that's what they want to hear. The next is sales conversations. So use AI to interpret every message, email, and text to understand other mindsets in real time. So it's really communication patterns that artificial intelligence AI you use. And it can shift depending on someone's circumstances like stress or excitement. Because like I said in previous trainings, especially in the personality module, you're a third code. So when you go in stress, you're behaving in a code that's not normally your code. So just be aware of that. So if someone's feeling overwhelmed, or they're moving, or someone died, or there's been an emergency, or someone, anything, they're probably not behaving in their normal code. For me, K is my stress code. So knowledge. So I will right away go to the source, the experts, and get the information that I need, because that's just the way I work, right? And that makes sense to me. All right. The next one is client retention. So as you continue to use AI in all your communications, discover how to anticipate your clients' communication patterns and their needs and expectations for improved customer retention. So, when I'm talking to people and I know their code is primarily an action, and I follow up with them, I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's your purchase? It was so great to meet you. How amazing you looked. I loved the coat that you were wearing. And I'm so glad you took advantage of our awesome deal. I mean, I know it was limited time offer, but you got in just under the wire. And I'm so glad you didn't miss out on that. How can I help? Do you have any questions? Anything else you'd like to see? And I keep it short. I keep it sweet. That's it, right? And so I let them respond to me. Usually with actions, if they need something from you, they'll come to you, right? I don't have to chase after them. Whereas a blueprint, I would follow up with them very differently. It was wonderful to meet you. I'm glad that we could figure out a process that worked for you, and the product is exactly what you're looking for. Remember, you got that guarantee. And and when you're setting it up, I've sent you the step-by-step instruction. If you have any questions about any of the systems in the product, let me know. I'd be happy to take you through it and make sure that you're completely informed about what you're doing, so that you're not going to make any mistakes. There's no risks, for making an error. That's exactly what a blueprint wants. So if I plug that into the AI, it's going to give me a high blueprint. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's my targeted message, right? So to retain your clients, you really do need to know their primary and secondary, at least codes, really what's going to get you in the door and help you keep them there. Okay. And lastly is referrals. So delighted clients become raving fans, right? They tell everybody about you, right? And they'll send you AI to ensure that you have seamless communication and onboarding. So make sure that you're not just using it once or twice, but you're using your artificial intelligence to enhance your message, so I think it's just really important to make sure that we take advantage of that. And what I wanted to do is kind of give you a couple things that you can work on. So the first one is I want you to think about an email code, okay, and using all the values in that particular code that is their primary code. Okay, and you guys know if you need help with that, you can contact me at, let's see, I'll give you at leadershipwithlaura.com. And I can give you, I can help you with that. So I'd be happy to do that. So contact me and I can show you a little bit about our AI and how it works. But you might also want to try to create some social media posts. You should know, let's see here, the 4 codes or the 4 sets of values like that we've talked about over the weeks, right? So these cards have all the values on it. Okay, so if you want my link with all the values, crack your own code, let me know, and you can actually start targeting emails and social media posts as well as even your LinkedIn profile, anything that's written. So when you are make sure that I'll give you a few tips on posting in social media. So the first one is create a post that creates curiosity, right? Make sure that you do it in each code. So for instance, doing a post, let's say I've got a special going on and I want to send it to all 4 codes. So I would create my post, I'd run it through the AI and make sure that the primary code was different each time. So for a blueprint, so guaranteed an opportunity to learn the step-by-step system in 2 weeks. You'll have it. Can you afford not to take this? It's 100% guaranteed. It's business when you close clients. That's all blueprint. The action, I'm like, I've got this amazing offer. It's limited time only, okay? And it's on for 2 days, okay? You have to take advantage of it. These are your outcomes. And you're going to get more opportunity, excitement, but make a lot more money, okay? If I was talking to the nurturer, I'd be like, oh my gosh, such an opportunity to create more in your life and your business, not only for you, but for others. This will allow you to take your self-growth, which in turn means that you can help others do the same, okay? Or the knowledge. This is an opportunity to learn some cutting edge tech, okay? This application hasn't really been seen anywhere. You're going to learn from the and become the expert in your field and be able to apply this technology to what you're doing right now. Okay, that was very knowledge. So I would take that written script and I would plug it into the AI and it would give me the primary code. So artificial intelligence of what you're doing, it's not just like a second check or an edit check. It's actually getting you to think about the content that you're putting out there, right? So for example, remember the mortgage guy I told you about, like he probably has no clue that, and he's missing out on 75% of his audience. I don't want to see that happen to you guys. Okay. So make sure that when you're coding for people, that you are speaking in their language, right? The mortgage guy could have hit all 4 codes very easily. I could easily talk to that and he could have checked it in the artificial intelligence, right? So when you're talking about AI, first of all, don't make it unless you're talking to knowledge, keep it simple. And a lot of people will respond by demonstration. Now, when I demonstrate our AI, it looks very different code. So I'll speak to them for the action. I'll be like, I've got this cool new tool. You got to check it out. It's awesome. And I give them like 2-minute demo at the most. So for the nurturing, I'm like, can you imagine sending a message and having this impact to change others' lives? So I'm going to plug this in and you're going to see the process that the AI goes through. And this is going to allow you to get you to the steps of where you want to go. Okay. And then for the knowledge, just the innovative pushes their button. I don't even have to work very hard on the knowledge on that one. Okay. So that's a little bit about artificial intelligence. It comes in many forms. I encourage you to check it out. Like I said, if you like more info on the Bank AI and how I use it, It's no business, but my entire life. And I'd like to see that happen for you as well. You can contact me at leadershipwithlaura.com or email me at laura@leadershipwithlaura.com. I'd love to book some time with you, hear more about you and what you do. And remember, I'll see you next week when we're going to be talking about business intelligence. I'll see you then. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.
Is on. Yes, I am here. I was saying what a wonderful show today. And I'm so happy because through the whole show, I did not get the connection thing that I usually get because I had to go get a new modem this weekend. And you know what? As soon as I said that, guess what? That little small connection came up. What? What's going on? I'm gonna have to call my cable again. Don't you just hate those times when you think that you really got something going on, and then all of a sudden it just like, boop. But you know what? As I always say, don't let it get to you. Flip it. This is my tip for you, because I'm always giving, I try to give you quotes and something to think about. This is what I want you to think about today. When something happens, if something, personal business that doesn't really go the way you want it to go, do that little hand gesture and flip it. Just flip it. Flip it to something positive. Flip it to something that you got up this morning. Flip it to you watched the Diamond Fact Experience show this morning with Barbara Beckley and Barry Mixon and Laura Armstrong. That's a positive flip it, isn't it? You learned so much. I hope you had your pen and I hope you have your piece of paper this morning to write down those awesome nuggets that was brought in. I mean, Barry started with durability and understanding that in relationships, and then Laura went into that intelligence. Oh my God. And I was thinking, I said, it's funny because when she was talking about that, I was thinking about that movie with Robin Williams when he was a robot or something. And then towards the end, he became human. And I was just thinking about it, said he had all this intelligence, but the one thing that he kept missing that he wanted so bad, which he did get, is just that human touch, that careness, that love. And whatever we do or wherever we go, what kind of intelligence we have, what kind of durability it goes on in our lives, we have to make sure that the biggest thing there is love. Love. So many songs about it, but it's important. It's really important. I keep saying that's going to heal our world now. Our world needs healing. We need to show love through all of us. All of us. So with that, I did my little take on that, and I just want to tell everybody, come in this Friday. We'll be back, and we will definitely be bringing some more level up speakers. So this week started a Level Up Summit that I'm part of. I'm one of the speakers, and there's tons of speakers that's going to be there. And I'm telling you, you want to be signed in. Let me see if I got the registration. Yeah, there we go. I can pop it right here. So it is Level Up the Amazing Speakers. It starts this week from the 15th through the 17th. I hope I'm right. Yeah, 15th through the 17th. We start this week. I'm bringing up speakers that you can get to know them, get a personal relationship with them through interviewing them. And then from that point, I always ask the next step. And the next step is follow them if they can help you. Because these speakers, they're not just speakers. I mean, they're coaches, they're mentors, they're strategists. I mean, they got a whole slew of background and goodies and genius. And as I always tell you, as I always say, what is it? Understanding that your genius, everything comes from your PPD, your purpose, your passion, your drive. Yes, yes, sometimes your purpose will change. Yes, passion will change in certain areas. And yes, your drive is your stories that's in your life. But one thing is not going to change, as I always say, you might grow from when you're 3 years old all the way to your 70. And you're going to have different stories in your life that's going to change and tweak and turn your different purpose in your life. And I was just talking about this early this week. But you're going to have that main thing that I always say that's in you, and that is your diamond factor. Your gifts, those never change. Your geniuses, that will never change for your purpose in life. So remember that. Remember that. Hold on to that. That is your foundation. That is your foundation, strong foundation to stand tall in whatever you do in life. So remember your PPD, which is your little diamond factor, and let it be durable in your life. I know I threw it in there, Bear. I threw it one more time before I sign off. I had to do it. So with that, I will see everybody on Friday. And remember, hug somebody, reach out to somebody, hug yourself, but whatever you do, make sure you shine like a diamond in the world for others. See you on Friday. Bye.